collective ownership over the means of production just doesn't work. The whole concept misunderstands and outright rejects reality to such a fundamental degree that it consistently creates poverty, misery, and pain for people wherever it's implemented. We've seen this play out all over the world: Cuba, Venezuela, China, the USSR, East Germany, Cambodia, North Korea, even places that we often don't even think about anymore, like Somalia and Zimbabwe, were decimated by socialist policies. Those countries would have been better off with no government at all than they were with a government that controls natural resources, dictates what people are allowed to produce, sell, or buy, and sets prices for goods and services across their economies. The evidence of socialist failures is overwhelming, and it's really not that difficult to understand the causal relationship. And yet, somehow, millions of people around the world still think it's a good idea. Why? Well, perhaps one reason is because they just aren't particularly connected to the victims. After all, they're on the other side of the world. They mostly don't speak English, right? Besides, a lot of the worst abuses happened a long time ago. But what if I told you that there are large areas of the United States right now, today, which feature all the hallmarks of socialism? The people who live in these areas are subject to complete top-down control over education, healthcare, resource management, business licensing, utilities, food distribution, all of it directly managed by US government agencies. Immigration in and out of these areas is also restricted, and it's even difficult for outsiders to do business in these parts of the country. Predictably, sadly, the result of socialism in these pockets of the United States is the same as it has been literally everywhere else in the world: poverty, suffering, despair, death. If you haven't figured it out yet, I'm talking about Indian reservation. The short version is that's the term used for legally recognized tribes in the United States. Another thing you should know before we really get into this is that while I will be challenging some common misconceptions, it is absolutely true that what the United States government has done and continues to do to American Indian people is horrific and unjustifiable. It's true that native populations were most likely declining before Europeans arrived, but the introduction of new diseases and increased conflict led to a massive decrease in their numbers between the 1600s and the early 20th century. The full history is bloody, cruel, and too long to be properly accounted for, but the highlights include enslavement, slaughter, re-education, forcible relocation, occasional forced sterilization, and denial of any semblance of autonomy, some of which continues to this day.